Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here for the first time, welcome to my channel. So I wanted to have a discussion about perfectionism and what that really means. Am I a perfectionist? And how perfectionism manifests itself in my life in both a macro and micro level. Obviously not that much of a perfectionist, otherwise I would have edited that out. Anyway, let's continue. So what is perfectionism? So obviously, is it this needs to be perfect? But what does that really mean? As in, because that could apply to different areas of life. Like, is it me looking perfect? Is it having a perfect house, a perfect family, perfect partner, perfect job? Or all of the above? Is it? Does it mean? Does it mean like when I say looking perfect? Does that mean Does it also mean do we have to have a perfect day or a perfect morning routine or perfect night routine, which is specifically what I want to get into in this video? Um, is it does something happen? Does something go wrong? Like if we like sleep in an extra 10 minutes or 20 minutes, does that mean a day is not perfect? Um, so that's basically what I wanted to get into. So for example, I would say if am I a perfectionist? I would say to a certain extent. I mean, I don't think I'm perfect as in like I have everything in my life is first, certainly not. Like my life is definitely not perfect. But what I think in terms of perfectionism, I think that specifically applies to having a perfect day or perfect week where everything just goes smoothly. There are no hiccups. Um, for example, I mentioned getting up, like waking up in the morning. Like you might, for me, I'm trying to wake up earlier, and if I sleep in like 10 minutes or 20 minutes, well then that sort of means for me that the day is not perfect. It wasn't like a perfectly structured morning routine. So now I'm kind of like, oh, I don't really want to start. And this is sort of more, as I said, this is more of the micro stuff, I suppose, like every like daily stuff. So, for example, if I get up, let's say I want to wake up at 5:30, and then but I don't actually wake up to 6 or maybe even 6:30. I suddenly feel like the day's ruined. I lost a lot of time, or at least the morning's ruined. Um, and because a lot of people talk about in order to have like a good day, you have to have a good morning routine, which I 100% agree. But I do think that um, if something's for me personally, if things go wrong in the not necessarily going wrong, but like if I skip something or if I like as I said, if I sleep in or I take my time, I like it. Sometimes I do take my time. A lot of pretty much all the time, I take my time with getting things done in the morning. Or maybe I showered for too long or anything like that. Um, so my morning routine takes a lot longer than I would have thought it to be. Um, and then going and I when I actually like start when I finish my morning routine, actually like start my work. I always tend to start my work a little bit later because currently work for myself. I set time, so I always like to start around 9. Well, I want to start well, not around 9. I want to start at 9. But a lot of the time I start a lot later because what happens is it'll get to like 9:10 or 9:20. I'll still be having my breakfast or something like that, and I haven't started yet. And what normally happens is that I don't want to start. And it's in my mind because I think part of perfectionism is that I have to start at like an out some sort of like specific time, like an hourly or half hourly time, or maybe like I have to start at a time that ends in zero, like 9:10, 9:20, 9:30. If that makes sense. I can't start at like 9:07 or something like that. It has to be like or in I've either nine either it ends in zero or it ends in five. So it has to be like 5 minutes or 10 minutes or half an hour. Does that make sense? Like I have to start at a time that either starts with zero. Sorry, either ends in zero or starts with five. So 9:05, 9:10, 9:15, etc. Um, like I can't start. I really can't like I know it would make sense to like start much like I would start at. It would make a much more sense to start at like 9:07 rather than 9:30 because like why would you wait another 23 minutes? I don't know why, but my mind is geared towards that. I have to start at those sorts of times. Um, and what that basically means is like basically what I'm saying is if I do not start at 9 o'clock, it is very hard for me to start. And I have had days where I they're very unusual, but I sort of want them to be like every day. But where I've started at 9 o'clock and I like the productivity level is much better. I get a lot more done if I actually start at 9 o'clock. Whereas if I tend to start a little bit later, I tend to drags on. I'll be like, oh well, the day's already ruined. Like it's already like 9:05. I haven't started 9:06, 9:07. I haven't started yet. Another example would be when I turn up to the gym a little bit later than usual. And I'm like, well, you know what? I've only got this certain, like I wanted to work out for this certain amount of time, but because I've got to get on with my day, I only had got like 30 minutes or whatever to work out when I really wanted 40 minutes. So therefore, even I've lost like 10 minutes. Therefore, I don't really want to work out because I won't really have enough time to do a proper workout. It's that sort of thing, that sort of mentality. Um, which I always push through. Like I always just like even though I'm a bit cranky about the fact that I'm late to the gym, I realize that I do need to have a bit of a sit down with myself and think about why it's taking me such a long time to get ready, and just so we're clear. When it comes to like appointments and like schedules, schedules we've made with other people, most of the time pretty much 99% of the time, I'm a little bit early. Um, but when it comes to showing up for myself, no, I do not have the motivation to show up on time when it comes to like things that things when it comes to me, when I'm like going to the gym and starting when I'm here working at home, um, I don't really show up for myself on time, and I think that's a big problem. So you could argue, well, Sean, if you're not showing up on time, then that kind of means that you're not really perfect. But the thing is, a perfectionist is not really perfect. Perfectionism is about I think perfectionism is more about you not wanting things to go wrong, and if something does go wrong, then the whole day is ruined. I think I think that's what perfectionism is. So I think this is misconception of what perfectionism is, where perfectionism, a lot of us would say perfectionism is like the need for everything to be perfect. Yes, I think that's a big part of it. But I also think there's another part where if one little thing goes wrong, so if you sleep in the morning or you don't go to the gym, you don't get to the gym early enough, or you don't start your work right at 9 o'clock, then the whole day is ruined. Um, and you want to start, don't really want to do anything for the rest of the day. You sort of want to start over for the next day. Um, I think that's what perfection really is. Is that and what ultimately this the ironic thing about perfectionism is you just don't get anything done, and you end up being like the opposite of perfect. If that makes sense, where you basically you don't get anything done, and you're sort of just waiting around for the next opportunity. I also think on a more macro scale, I think there's this idea of, there's this whole thing of New Year's resolution syndrome where you have all these things you want to do. Like, just say, for example, you have all these habits that you want to start at the beginning of the new year. So, just to say, like, we're in February now, but let's just go back in time to December 31st, 2021. And you have all these habits you want to do, and you want everything to be perfect, and then January 1st, 2022 rolls around and you sleep in, which is exactly what I did. Well, when I say sleep in, I basically mean that I woke up later. I woke up later than I anticipated, than I wanted to. So, like the first thing that I wanted to do, the first habit that I should have done for the new year, I did not do. Um, so there's that sort of thing where you don't where it's like, oh, okay, the whole year is ruined because I stepped in, that's a very perfectionist thing. Was like we can't just say, well, I didn't get it on the first try. And like a better way of looking at it would be, well, I didn't get it on the first day. Going into 2022, I had all these habits that I wanted to do in order to achieve my goals. I think I already made a video. I think the first video I made on this channel sort of was the first video I made this year was a video about talking about my goals and habits. I'm all into that. So I had all these habits going into 2022 that I wanted to do, like waking up early, going to the gym early, but which I sort of do, but I just don't wake up early enough, and I just take forever, and I don't really like. I don't. A lot of the habits that I set out for myself, a lot of goals I set by myself, um, I just don't do. I don't. I mean, because I track my habits, and my productivity. I just and like because I wanted because I mean I never really was that productive like ever, and I wanted to. So going because I just had as I said always never really been too productive, but in 2021 I just was really 2021 was a real slumpy year. I mean, my whole life has been a bit slumpy, but 2021 was a particularly slumpy year. And over the past few years, pretty much, I guess, I'm not sure when it started, but just like pretty much ever since I think like I could honestly since like probably like 2018, I reckon I've just been like this really massive slump. That doesn't necessarily mean I haven't done anything. I've been sitting around doing nothing. I have been doing things. I've had jobs. Um, I've been overseas. I've wrote a lot. But I've still been in this massive slump where basically my early 20s, because I'm 25 now, and my early 20s, so I'm in my mid 20s now, but my early 20s and my mid 20s have been very slumpy. Basically, my whole 20s, my late teens, actually, no, my late teens were very productive. Actually, I was pretty good in my late 20s, but in my in my 20s, I've been very lazy. I think this whole video is about that. Um, I've been very lazy, and going into I turned 25 last September, and I wanted to go into the new year. I say new year even though it's February. 2022. I wanted to go into 2022 being very productive, like leaving all the lazy habits behind. But I've just been this. I'm still in this slump. Is that the right word? Slump. Like I'm still very slumpy. Like I'm not. It's not to say I'm not doing anything, but it's just like it takes me a really long. Takes me like. It's just taking me a really really long time to do things that really shouldn't take that long. I'm taking like just sort of like I'm not working at it very fast. I'm not very. I just haven't been very productive in the last. Like I haven't been like in 2022 so far. And at the time of making this video, it's like mid to late February. And probably by the time, because I am so slow at everything, by the time this video is uploaded, probably like late, like almost March, probably in March. But anyway, um, the point I'm trying to make is that I have been in a massive slump, and the thing is that I have difficulty. This is where the perfectionism comes in. Is that I have to wait. The way my brain works is that I have to wait to Sunday. I have to wait to I either have to wait to Sunday or I have to wait to the new month starts. But then the new month rolls around, so, January, February, March, and I'm still in this like the first day of the month or the first day of the week. I'll wake up late and then it's like, oh, I've stuffed up again, and that ruins the whole day. It's like, oh, I had a brand new chance because I think it's also about momentum. Um, and if I don't start on the first day, whether that be the first day of the week or the first day of the month or the first day of the year, and I feel like it's ruined, and I can't really. I feel like it's ruined, and that's where the perfectionism comes in. Is that if I don't have a perfect day, or if I don't have a perfect first few hours of the day, or I don't have a perfect day of the first of the week, then the whole week is ruined, or the whole month is ruined, the whole year is ruined. Which I think that's obviously a very negative way of looking at things. Um, so obviously that's going to be something to work on. So as I said before, I think I have to have a different mindset. So let's just say it's the 1st of March, and I sleep in. It's like, well, the 1st of March, the whole month is ruined now. But that shouldn't be the case. I just say, well, you know what? I stuffed up on the first day. Let's see how I go on the second day. If I stuff up on the second day, then I no. Let's just see how I go on the third day. But I will say that I think on the one hand, I think you need like having a perfect day or a perfect whatever on the first day of the week or the month or the year um, does create momentum. I also believe that um, you can start like you can start working on yourself, and I think it's also like just adding like every day you get a little bit better. So let's say one day you wake up at 6:30, even though you're supposed to wake up 5:30. Okay, the next day you wake up at 6:20. Next day you wake up at 6:10. Next day you wake up 6 o'clock, and just keep going like that until you reach what you actually want to reach. And you try and then once you got hold of that, you start waking up at 5:30 next day, and maybe one day you might wake up at 6:30 or 6:40 or 7 o'clock. And you missed a lot of time. You miss out on going to the gym or whatever. Um, So you just have to tell yourself, okay, I messed up today. Today wasn't okay. I messed up in the morning. I'll just get on, try and have a good day. I don't think it's necessarily like you can start. Like you don't have to start your life on January. Like when I say start life, I mean like doing all the habits. You don't have to start all the habits on January 1st. You can start your habits on the 20th of February or the 9th of March or the 6th of June or whatever. I think we have this mentality, this New Year's resolution syndrome, where we have to start everything on the 1st of January. If we don't start all those habits, then we have to wait until the to next year to start it, and then we start up again, and we have to wait to 2024 and 2025. And I've actually been re-listening to on Audible Miranda Hart's book Is It Just Me, and she actually has a chapter called Hobbies, where she talks about this idea of New Year's resolution syndrome, where you have to start it start start a new hobby or well, it's more new. She talks about new hobbies, but I guess that it does apply to habits as well, where she talks about where you have to start this idea of where like you have to start everything on the first day of New Year, or you have to start a diet on Sunday. If you're starting a diet on Thursday, that's just weird. Or starting a new habit on the 9th of March, that's just weird. So she talks about this idea of, you know, of like waiting to waiting to a certain time to begin. And I agree. I think you should start. I think it's okay. I think we do have this mentality of like, as I said before, I think the momentum thing is good. I think it's good. I think you should start. You should aim to start on like the first day of the week or the first day of the month or the first day of the year. But I think you also have to tell yourself that it's okay if you don't, and it's okay to start a new habit or a new hobby or whatever. Like start your new morning routine on say like the 9th of March as just a random example, um, or whatever date. Like and the same goes if you start if you start and if you do start on the first day of the year and say like mid-January you fall off, don't wait till the end of like to next year or next month or whatever to start to get back on track. Just try and get back on track on the next few days. And sometimes like it does. I think I remember reading somewhere or hearing about something. I can't remember what it was or where I heard this from or read this from. but I believe it takes 30 days to start a new habit. So it does take a long time to. Sometimes if you're in a slump or a dump or whatever you want to call it, and you're not really feeling it, I think it does take a long time to get back on. It does take a long time to get back on track. Um, so um, I think I think I think that whole 30 days things does sometimes cause the whole perfectionism thing. Well, if it takes 30 days, well then I'll begin on the first day of the month. Whereas you could start on like the 10th day of the month and then see where you are on the 10th day of the next month. That makes sense. For example, if you started and you have it on the 10th of February, and you could see where you are on the 10th of March as a random example. And like I honestly do have this mentality of like starting something on the first day of the month. I do have that mentality. As I said, that's not such a sometimes not such a bad thing because it does create momentum. But I also think we need to look at like starting. It's okay to start. I think it's like, for example, just to say you have, because one of the things I try to do back in December is in order to get prepared for myself, because it wouldn't make sense if I got to the end of February and I had like a really slumpish month and I'd be like, well, on the first day of, even though I've been not like, even though I've been sleeping in and like I've been doing bad habits throughout February, I'll just start again. I'll just have a perfect day in March, because I don't think you can expect to have like a perfect first day if everything before that was like just nothing, like it was just crap. Let's just say, as in a random example, it's December and you want to start your new habits starting on the 1st of January. Why don't you just start doing them in December? So by the time the new year rolls around, you're ready to go. I know that it's probably not the best example because we're already in the new year and December's like 10 months away. But hey, just start your new habits now. So when March rolls around, you can start. You're all right to go. And say it already is March. When April rolls around, you'll be all right to go because you've already started them in March. See how it works? And obviously, it's not going to be perfect. Like the next morning's not going to be perfect. Maybe it might be, but the next morning's probably not going to be perfect. But when you eventually, as you build up these habits, it will be perfect. Um, so I think it might not ever be perfect. That's the other thing. It might not ever be perfect, but as long as being like you're getting towards your goals, you might not achieve your goals by a certain date, but you might achieve them later. I'm going on a tangent here. So that's some of my thoughts on perfectionism. I know this video got a bit rambly. No, stop. Those are just some of my thoughts on perfectionism. What do you think? Do you think I'm a perfectionist? Do you think you're a perfectionist? Let me know in the comment section. But that is all for me for now. Please let me know what you think, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.